Hello, my name is Jamie Shields, and I'm here to present my mock IEP project. I am actually going to be in Chattanooga supervising our DECA team at State on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. So I will not be able to present in person, so I wanted to get the assignment done. So here we go. So first note is all these images are AI generated. They are not real students, which is just kind of creepy that we can do that with AI, but I just wanted to mention that. All right, slide 2. Started with 2 students, one Jeremy Collins. I'm a Jeremy Collins eligible with ADHD. Um, Definition of ADHD, according to Exceptional Children, is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. It's characterized by developmentally inappropriate levels of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity that interfere with academic, social, and behavioral functioning. Primary characteristics of this certification is inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity. It also has some additional associated characteristics that of academic unachievement, difficulties with executive functioning, social challenges, including peer rejection, and concurring conditions such as learning disabilities, anxiety, or behavior disorders. There is a video. I don't know if it's going to work on Cameo, but I'm going to try it real fast and see if this works. Nope, it won't work. But there is a video, and it is in the presentation, and the control click will work on the regular presentation. How a child is diagnosed. So Adam House, a 16-year-old student with ADHD, was diagnosed when he was younger. I did see conflicting reports that one said ADHD needed to be diagnosed before they were 12, and then another one said that they didn't. So the student in this particular IEP distributed persistent patterns of inattention and hyperactivity that interfered with him sitting still. The diagnostic process was started by his 4th grade teacher when she witnessed his behavior. The assessment used were behavior rating scales, both filled out by the parent, because it is important to have the parents involved whenever doing any certification. Clinical interviews, developmental medical history to make sure there's not anything else that was contributing to the behavior, and school records. Assessment used, classroom observations, executive functioning checklists, and curriculum-based measures. So put Adam displaying sensory sensitivity, especially to noise and visual distractions. Seems to be unable to focus in environments that are busy or crowded. During classroom observations, Adam seems sporadically engaged and functioned as any other student, with a few exceptions that he's kept on looking out the window while the teacher was lecturing, and the teacher used proximity and lightly tapped the desk to redirect when noticed. He was observed reading and responding to questions asked typically in the classroom, with just a few little here and there off daydreaming aspects. So, I put for instructional strategy, student was given PowerPoint. The 3 slides per page looks really nice. It's easier for those students to pay attention and then have a little bit of room, even some room to doodle at times kind of helps ADHD students focus. Explicit instruction, the I do, we do, you do model is what we use here at Laverne High School. Frequent checks for understanding and constant questioning of various types. The teacher monitored using proximity, which is something that I do pretty often in class. And just that light tap on the desk to try to refocus students really helps a lot. Usually behavior will be curtailed just by getting closer to them, but sometimes a little light tap will kind of wake them up and they'll come back to you. Um, Assessment tools and management techniques, movement, and having some movement as part of the lesson, rather a gallery walk or a this or that or some type of way to get up will often help students with ADHD focus and get out a little bit of energy. They do use Pearson's My Perspectives English and English 2. And then what surprised me is I kind of saw myself in this, diagnosed with the same in 4th grade. I can remember my parents going through leaps and bounds to try to find a way to help, including diet. My parents believed in a lot of prayer to fix things. But in the end, I had to find a way to deal with my own ADHD. And as I talk to you now, I'm fiddling with this object underneath the desk because I need to have that secondary source as well. So I understand students going through that process, and that's why I made the comment about doodling, because that's what I had to do. I do sometimes wonder if the supports that we give students creates a crutch that they become dependent upon, as opposed to learning how to adjust to their own selves. I do believe in scaffolding, and I do believe that scaffolding should be torn down and the building should be able to stay, which is how a lot of directions are used, especially for English language learners. But I do feel like there comes a time that people have to adjust to themselves. My parents are very against medication. Ritalin was a new drug back then, and I function well enough to do this video and make it through a class. So I think that I've made it out pretty well. All right, so brief description. Once certified, a team of stakeholders meet to decide what services are needed, try to find the least restrictive environment. I met with the school psychologist about this project, and she was very adamant that they do not diagnose, that they only certify students. And so I had to go back and make sure that I took the word diagnose off everything, because the school psychologist instructed me that that was a big deal for them, as she also told me about identifying these goals and helped me with the students in this report. Role of the IEP team members. Well, the special education teacher, I have served as a general education teacher during these IEP meetings before. In the LEA, usually the principal over the alphabet of that student come, and then depending on the student's need, whether you have the school psychologists or related providers. The school psychologist here does lead the IEP meetings, but I understand that is not always the case across the state. The rights of student in due process, notice information, you have a right to a hearing, you have a right for representation, protection against self-incrimination, and right to have the record down, have a response to the record, and there's an appeals process. This particular student would like to join the military, as discussed and written in the IEP, particularly the Marines. And we often help students with that transition, no matter what their situations are, to try to help them reach whatever goals they have. Legal mandates. IEDA is a fantastic act. It's definitely forward thinking in the 90s. And we believe that all children should have a free and appropriate education, public education. And both The issues here that I really want to discuss is both the parents and the teachers felt like the student wasn't given proper effort. And that really rang home to me because that's what I was accused of as a child as well. Not really by choice, but still by circumstance. Second student is India D's. Again, this is AI generated, female, intellectual disability, characterized by significant limitations in intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior, originated before 18, usually IQs below 70, delayed language development, difficulty problem solving, limited adaptive skills, need for repeated instruction, and difficulty generalizing. I threw in the state standard for intellectual disability as significantly impaired intellectual functioning and how it needed a comprehensive evaluation by a multidisciplinary team to actually categorize this person as a ID. And you can see that intellectual functioning determined by appropriate assessment, significantly impaired adaptive behavior, and significantly impaired adaptive behavior in the school. Child is diagnosed as a 16-year-old in this. They're said to have a good sense of humor, loves to joke around. India was diagnosed with ID, which adversely impacts her ability to cognitively process, apply, and remember new information. Assessments used would be the OHI. There's a medical statement. A WISC was ran. Achievement assessment, Woodcock-Johnson is the standard used here in Rutherford County. Adaptive and teacher observation and developmental history. Used for instruction purposes, the assessments are communication skills using the basic, educational history, instructional purposes, and behavioral checklists that are sent to the teachers, and then each student is observed by each teacher. So I got India as somebody who struggles to start any project, usually saying, "You're kidding," or "Come on, not right now," when tasked with any assignment. Tries to joke around and not get anything done. She was coloring and completely unengaged with the teacher. In this setting, we're saying that India was not actively involved, but she was observed in the classroom. The student was provided with an alternate lesson because in this particular class, she was not able to complete the lesson. So that is done with our students with great needs. She was not really held to the same standard. Proximity was still used to keep students in line, and the assessment tools used are on the page. The teacher's classroom management techniques, again, I use movement around the classroom because that's my favorite. And then the materials used is that English language book. I understand this type of disability is difficult to include in the educational environment, but I do think all students learn from one another, no matter what their background or their ability is. And I think that the class displayed a level of empathy for India, even though she wasn't involved in the lesson. And it is good for India to be in inclusive classes, to have that peer contact. And it's important for her peers to see and develop empathy for people in India's case. I think secluding students is a really poor, outdated concept, and I'm glad that we do try to integrate the students as much as possible. Brief description. Once a student is certified, again, the school site told me that I can't say diagnosed. Team of stakeholders decides, much like right before. India did need a special bus. She will be on bus number 10 to and from school. The IEP team members are the same. The rights are the same. India said that she would like to be a police officer and that she likes to make pizzas. We question if India will be able to be completely independent at any point in time um, because of her IQ and her inability to retain knowledge. So her goals this school year were to identify 5 traffic signs before her next IEP, and that would be in 2 years. She's currently scored a 215 on the Happy Numbers test, which places her at the kindergarten level, and she needs up to 3 prompts to accomplish any task. And so her certification seems appropriate. In the conclusion, public school is for the public. We should educate everyone without exception or minimal ability. We are public school teachers, and we should look out for other people. Students in my class who use the R word for students, for other people, usually not directly to the students who would be affected, but to each other. Jokingly, I instruct them that people that need extra help need our help. They don't need to be mocked. And it's wrong to actually use that word, because what you're saying is that they're less than someone else, especially if you call a buddy or a friend that word, because what you're saying is you're acting less than, you're less than human. And they are humans and deserve the same respect and help that all humans do. These 2 students both exhibit need in their own, for additional help in their own way to be successful. Both students were serviced while not impeding the rest of the class, which is the idea that we can serve all students because they do deserve respect and effort. Well, thank you for listening to my TED Talk.